gathered here. With very little amount of students, I expected a lot. But even on this auspicious day, we pay tribute to our mother nations. Tricolor, the freedom fighters who fought all over the years. After 200 years of foreign domination, the British colonial domination and exploitation and humiliations over the 150 crore Indians. But today, at the time that was inspire the Indians to rise into occasion and oust the Britishers in a united way. And that's why the Indian freedom movement started taking proper step. And after Jallianwala massacre, Rabindranath Tagore, left that night title as a protestation against the Jallianwala massacre. And the Britishers broke the Bengal unity and divided the Bengal in East Bengal and West Bengal. And that kind of Bengal partition of Bengal was ultimately taken up because of the terrible protestation all over the country, all over Bengal. Everyone took part in that. But I remember the Indian freedom didn't come only because of non-violent movement led by Mahatma Gandhi. It was actually because of Netaji Subhash Bose. It was actually because of Bhagat Singh, Master Shukra Sen, Jatin Das, and Khudiram Bose, and all this stuff. And who can forget the way Mahatma Gandhi had done? Just upheld the banner of Indian tricolor. Even when the Britishers put a pierced into his heart, Mahatma Gandhi had didn't just leave the banner of Indian tricolor. It signifies that we really, with the Indians, from the deepest corner of our heart, we wanted Indian freedom tricolor to rise in high and high. And that's why that kept flattering all the Indian tribes. But remember these things. After that, the naval operation in Netaji Subhash Bose, that Netaji Subhash Bose, when he became the president of the Indian National Congress, possibly in 1938, first time, and then in 1939, possibly like that, after Tripuri and Haripura Congress into successive times, but maybe coordination here and there. But in the second time when Netaji Subhash was contesting as a presidential post for the presidential post of Indian National Congress, terrible protestations came from Gandhiji, Jawaharlal Nehru and others, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So the voting was on, and when the silent Netaji Subhash, Mahatma Gandhi opposed Netaji Subhash's presidential thing and told, I don't accept Netaji Subhash Bose as the president of India. But what happened? Just understand. Then Mahatma Gandhi, as the presidential candidate, but he lost the fight. And when the ballot papers were counted, ballot papers were counted, by 260 or 252 like that votes in the integrated India, Netaji Subhash convincingly defeated Pattabhi Sitaramaiah. And Gandhiji was forced to say that Pattabhi Sitaramaiah was my candidate, Pattabhi Sitaramaiah's defeat is my defeat, I accept Subhash. But since as the president knew for the second time, I opposed Netaji for such and such things, but see the popularity of Netaji Subhash Bose in that independent India. How many Bengali voters were delegates were there? But still, they terribly voted, they terribly contested, Netaji Subhash's popularity. You don't understand how terribly the popularity was for Netaji Subhash Bose. Gandhiji was defeated because of Pattabhi Sitaramaiah. Gandhiji, Jawaharlal, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, all were defeated in the secret ballot. But after that, Gandhiji and his other member, Vallabhbhai Patel, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru started obstructing Netaji Subhash Bose at each and every moment. So we couldn't. Netaji Subhash Bose was brought, Rabindranath Tagore and others from Rabindranath Tagore in particular, invited Mahatma Gandhi and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru It stands. Love is Subhash. He taught us to lead India. See the contribution of India's freedom struggle from Netaji. From the foreigner's eye, you can understand what was what. Netaji was an integrated component of India's history. We became a republic when India in 1947, 15 dollars. We became independent. And it took certain times to reorganize our constitution by Dr. Manas and others. The father figure of the power of the Indian noble Indian constitution. And then in 1915, 26 January, we shaped into a republic, Indian republic. That gave freedom of speech, that gave everything on a kind of socialist and social in a social format. But India became a republic and India joined into the main major aspects of Indian freedom struggle. So we must remember that it is today on these auspicious occasions of Indian Republic Day. We must take into account the great contribution, the great progress India has made. India has made progress, remarkable progress in the space technology. India has made remarkable progress in the areas of science, architecture, and all those things, in literature, in science, in space technology. And India is progressing in sports. You see, in everywhere India is progressing. But still today, we have to think certain aspects. Because even today, when so many dazzling observations are being observed throughout the India, we find millions and millions of crores of people, standing on the open road without any single food on their mouth. Not to speak of the dazzling light and all these things. So we have to, even today, we didn't earn that economic independence. We didn't earn that freedom of speech, which could have prompted us to have come before the world, to challenge any challenge, global challenge that is coming again and again from the Chinese corner, from the American corner, from the Pakistan, everywhere. The challenges are big threats are coming on our sovereignty. But India as a nation, irrespective of caste, community, religion, language, all narrow barriers, India as a United Nations is progressing, and we must stay focused to resist any attacks on our sovereignty, on our pride, on the pride of 150 crore Indian people. We have lots of strength. We have to execute that strength into coordinated action, and then whether it's USA, whether it's China, whether it's Pakistan, or whether it's any other country, they can't, even as a whole, can't do anything, can do no harm to our sovereignty. So on this auspicious day of Indian Republic Day, 26 January 2026, we must go back to those days, because the freedom is then only possible when our hunger is not there. खुदा राज्य पृथ्वी गौतमय सुकांत भट्टाचार्य कविता खुदा राज्य पृथ्वी गौतमय पूर्णिमा चाँद जब ज्वल शांति. So we have to understand, so many people, how many people still there all around the Indian papas and Indian soils and Indian cities and even in the rural aspect. So we have to uplift their condition. We have to make sure they do get access to education. They do access to basic minimum needs. A kind of group over there, they get certain shelter, certain houses, certain minimum food, certain minimum hygiene and health condition. Then only we can say we have got the real independence. Our great freedom fighters, dream of that kind of freedom, where not only political freedom, but economic freedom, where we can freely, breathe in the air. That mattered about. So I'm not stretching further. With that, I am with my tribute to Indian national tricolor, with our auspicious to this auspicious of the Republic Day. I am concluding my brief speech here. Bharat Mata Ki, Desh Bandhu Chittoranddas Ki, Netaji Subhash Ki, Bharat Amar Veer Shahid Viplavi Ki, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki, Jai Hind, Jai Hind, Jai Hind. ধন্যবাদ. আমাদের এখানে ছাত্রী আসছে কৌশিকের দিদি বলে, তুমি যদি কিছু গান বা কবিতা কিছু করতে যাও, তারপরে আমি